Welcome to my boring opinion.
Okay, I'm back again, and in this video, I'm talking about my thoughts on the Dragon Ball theories. Something, not conspiracy theories, just theories in general about certain characters and certain things in the show. Some of them actually make sense, and apparently a couple of them have even been verified. And then a few of them, kind of doesn't make sense at all. Probably sparked by someone who is new to the series and doesn't really know much about it. I don't know. So, let's see. I think I addressed the theory that Piccolo was technically a kid. And, well, then after that, I addressed the theory that Piccolo was a kid. Okay, so, some people will have a thought that technically, no, the theory is not that Piccolo was a kid. It's a theory that Namekians age real fast, based on how fast Piccolo aged during the, during Dragon Ball. Because it was both like 3 years apart, so he was about teenage years. So based on that right there, based on how fast Piccolo Jr. aged, it was assumed that all Namekians aged that fast. The problem with that theory is Piccolo Jr. is the reincarnation of King Piccolo. No other Namekians are. So no other Namekians would age that fast. Now King Piccolo, and I kind of spit on it, and kind of transferred his soul to like a younger body. So King Piccolo was actually like probably a little bit older than Master Roshi, like 300 something years old. Which in the series, Master Roshi is implied to be over 300 years old. Go into that later. I don't think that's one of the theories though. I think that's one. Anyways, King Piccolo was actually over 300 years old, and he was transferred. It's like he transferred his spirit to a younger body, and he aged that body, and he prepared that body to give revenge 3 years later. So, basing the idea that Namekians age really fast solely on Piccolo and Piccolo Jr. doesn't really make sense, especially when you consider that the fact that if Nameks did age that fast, then Dende would have pretty much been an adult by the time he became Guardian of Earth. We do not know how old Dende already was, and we know that it's roughly 5 years difference between Cell games and Frieza. Frieza and the Cell games. Like during the Cell episodes. We know that by looking at Gohan. Gohan's about 6 years old during the whole Namek episode when it gets Frieza. And Gohan turns 11 during the 10 days before the Cell games. So we're looking at 5 years. And if Dende is supposed to be similar to Gohan's age, then he most definitely should have been an adult. And then you have 7 years after that, teen Dende. Like during the Majin episodes. And which Dende should have most definitely been an adult, full grown, if that were true. So, Namekians do not age that fast. Piccolo Jr. is different from the rest of the Namekians because he's probably the only one who was actually a reincarnation of someone else. So, now the idea that Frieza is a child. I've just been watching videos about 10 theories that blow your mind, or something about Dragon Ball Z, something to that effect. And I had to address some of these theories. That Frieza is actually a child. That's one of the theories. My understanding that theory is based on Frieza's size and immaturity. No, especially it's like his size compared to King Code and his immaturity. Well, neither of which actually have anything to do with age. I mean, okay. Now, we see Frieza in that form in Dragon Ball Z episode Power Level 1,000,000. So, it should be quite obvious that King Code is in his second form. And I could bet that if King Code would have transformed to his final form, he'd be about the same height as Frieza. So, I mean, Frieza was about that tall when he was in his second form, as we saw in Power Level 1,000,000. No, Fighting Power 1,000,000, not Power Level. I've been telling people in the comments and videos, Power Level 1,000,000. Same difference though. Yeah, it's, anyways, it's ridiculous, and everybody's commenting, debating about, oh, Frieza's people this, Frieza's people that. The initial start of that rumor or debate or whatever you want to call it that day is Frieza's size and immaturity. Two stuff that had nothing to do with age. So really, this debate about Frieza's people, Frieza's species, that's not the point. They had nothing to do with it. They have nothing to do with Frieza being a kid. Since the initial cause of the theory is Frieza's immaturity and size compared to King Code. I mean, that's not the point. Let's see, there was another, oh yeah. And then the one theory that I was going to address, that some people believe that Supreme Kai allowed Vegeta to be taken over by Babidi to allow himself to be redeemed, or some crazy theory like that. Which, okay, that theory doesn't make sense either, because Vegeta admitted that he allowed Babidi to take him over or whatever. He allowed Babidi to do that to them, and he made that choice right after Goku defeated Yakon. So that's what Frieza admitted to Goku in the series. Goku once openly admitted at the end of the Cell games that he was like a villain magnet, that he'd be safer for the Earth if we didn't return, which is probably where a lot of people get the story that Earth would be safer without Goku, something that he openly admitted. Now, it's possible that he might have been a little bit overreacting or something. He might be mistaken. And not like Clark did blaming himself with a media shower and media infected people in Smallville. So, whether or not that's actually true, then Goku seemed to believe that himself, evidently. And there's a lot of good arguments that, and now Goku said most of the villains, not all the villains, in that statement, that a lot of the guys was originally after him. He didn't say all of the guys, he said a lot of the guys. A few villains was kind of already there anyways, and would have showed up anyways. And a few things that was kind of maybe sped up. His point is, ultimately, Goku was saying that since most of the enemies that who attacked Earth was wanting him anyways, Earth would be safer without him. That's what Goku said. Now, he may have been wrong, he may have overreacted, I don't know. I do not have time to go over every theory. Some theories, like Krillin being the best Earth fighter, actually make sense, which I think that's actually been verified, some people said in the comments, which I haven't dug into that, so I'm gonna, that makes sense, you have a point there, okay. let's see, a few other theories that make sense. One is that GT is actually another universe, which I'm gonna go with that. Personally, I think it's just a way for somebody to like both Super and GT, and they kind of realize that they kind of clash with each other. I mean, some of the storylines in Super wouldn't match up with GT. So to make itself like feel better, they just probably came up with the thing. Oh, I just call GT a separate universe, which technically speaking, GT obviously came out like what 10 years before Super. So I'm gonna go with that. That's the only way to explain it. That's the only way you can explain it and still like both Super and GT. Is that say, okay, GT is gonna be a separate universe. That way I can kind of like both of them shows. Because the way things are now, if Goku could go like Super Saiyan God or whatever, then he wouldn't have had such a hard time defeating Baby in GT and with the other enemies. He wouldn't. He seemed like he wouldn't have had such a hard time. Why not just move and do that? So do not have time to go over everything. That's it for this video. Bye.
This has been my boring opinion.
Thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to follow me, subscribe, and check out my Twitter, and follow me on Patreon.